Afternoon folks, and welcome back. So I've got on the bench here something that a lot of folks will recognise, certainly here in the UK. Good old-fashioned and venerable 19 set. And I've got a couple of these, and I don't use them that often. I've actually got one underneath the bench here. This one has been also under the bench, but I thought I would try and fire it up because I haven't used it for a while and just see how far we can get with one of these on CW. So 19 sets, for those not familiar with these are World War II radios, transceivers, AM and CW, and they cover from about 8 megs down to about 2.5. Used to be used in tanks, so they were quite robust. Anyway, I'll show you a bit closer just to show what we've got here, and we'll see if we can perhaps get a QSO. It's 12:30 at the moment, and I've been perusing around the bands. It's not much, it's pretty quiet actually, and conditions lately have been a bit flat, so whether we'll actually get something I'm not quite sure. I've tuned it up for 80 meters at the moment. I've just been listening around, and there's not an awful lot of activity, but what we might try and do, maybe try 40 later on this evening, and you know, with the 4 square antenna we might be able to get a bit of distance with one of these old vintage radios. So this is a bit of a close-up of this 19 set, and this one is a Mark III, and down there actually it's got a date on it. It was made in, or it was issued September 1960, so it's quite a late-ish one. It's all turned on at the moment, and we've got a switch here which measures all our voltages, and that's 2 big dials that basically adjusts the PA, and this is your main tuning. The 19 set actually is quite interesting because it had it was 2 radios in one. It had a B set in this section here, and then the main A set was the rest of it. And the B set was well, it was 2 things. First of all, it was a VHF unit, sort of. So if you were in a tank, you could talk to your buddies in a tank squadron, and it also had an intercom in it as well, so that, you know, the driver and the gunner could communicate and all the rest of it, because, you know, tanks can be quite noisy, I guess. Just moving round, you've got the power supply there. Now that power supply actually is a homebrew one. It's normally the power supply for 19 set is a rotary transformer, and a what they call a vibrator. So that provides your HT2 or 250 volts, and HT1 is your dynamotor. I always get the HTs confused. I can't remember which. I think it's HT1 is the high voltage and HT2 is the low voltage, or the other way round. But anyway, and over there you've got your headphones, old-fashioned microphone, and the control box. Now that control box I've broggled a little bit. It was it was a surplus one. So what I've done is, with that, I've actually put a little microphone preamp in there just to help the modulator. So there we go. Now you'll also see I've got my receiver over there. Now the reason for that is that the receiver on this radio, it's alright on AM, but on CW it's pretty hopeless really. You know, it's just not selective enough. It might have been okay back in the day, but for the amateur bands, it's a bit hard work, put it that way. So what I do is I'm using a transmitter on this, and I'm using that for receiving. This thing should all be set up, so let's just zoom in on the power meter there a minute, see if we can get a reading. I'll just turn that down a bit, and what we'll do is put it onto CW, pop the key in. So there you go, that's about 10 watts on 80 meters. Now on 40 meters, the power is quite a bit less than that. It's about half, exactly. So when we tried on 40 to see how far we can get with the 19 set, we'll only be using about 4 or 5 watts. So just to make it more of a challenge, as they say. Anyhow, I'm going to have another go on 40 with this, see if we can get somebody, and then we'll come back later this evening and give it a go on 40 meters. It'd be interesting to see how far we can get with an old-fashioned 19 set. Right, before we have a quick QSO with this, I thought I'd just take this 19 set out of its box so you can have a look inside. So what can we see? Well, this area here is, as I mentioned, this is the B set, and I think somebody's broggled this. Some of the bits, some of the tubes are missing. I think what may have happened here is that somebody might have tried to use the transformer as a bit of a sort of speech amplifier, which is a known trick. If you can do it, if you get the right control box, you can use that to boost the audio, which helps the modulation on AM. 19 sets actually use grid mod rather than plate modulation. I guess that probably saves space, but one of the problems with grid modulation is that you do lose power. But that's the way they designed it, and for all intents and purposes it's pretty good, but as I said, you only get about 4 watts carrier on AM, so not an awful lot. So this is the PA section, this is the old 807, and the rest of it is all screening cans. There's the venerable EF50 down there, which is all part of the transmitter. This one's not in bad nick actually, it does seem to work pretty well, and hopefully we should be able to demonstrate getting a QSO with it. We'll just have a quick look on the undersurface. Well, you can tell this one's in pretty good shape because it's got this back plate. A lot of the 19 sets that have been passed on to fellow hams from generation to generation don't actually have this, so I'll quickly unscrew this and we'll have a look inside. So I've got the back plate off and you can have a look inside. As I said, I think somebody's had a go at this before, on the B set at least anyway. We've got some slightly more modern wiring going on here to this relay, but in general it's in pretty good nick. I have actually replaced some of these capacitors. You can see there at the top, one of the things with vintage capacitors, they do tend to leak, so these are sort of more modern ones, and these polypropylene ones which you can buy from RS, I think they're made by Vichy actually. They're quite nice actually because they're axial, with leads on the end, and they have a quite nice sort of vintage look about them, even though they are actually modern capacitors. So if you need to restore any vintage equipment, you need to recap them. These yellow ones are quite nice. As I said, RS, or I think you can get them from Farnell or just about any other place, but they're really nice actually, so well worth getting. So that's the base of the 807 there, and I haven't replaced all of these capacitors. I mean, surprisingly, most of them actually do work given the age of the set. And one of the things about which sort of is a bit of a giveaway as to the age of it is the plastic wiring. Now you can see all that. certainly in the other 19 set that I've got, which is actually a Canadian one, which is probably a bit older than this, the wiring is that sort of cotton covered, you know, wire which you tend to get in sort of World War II equipment. But this is obviously slightly later, which fits with the age of the 19 set. Anyway, let's put it back together, and we'll see if we can actually get a QSO with this old, I was going to say wreck, but it's not quite a wreck, but this old vintage transceiver. We'll see how we get on with it. Okay guys, we've got everything set up here, and got the receiver, the trio receiver as usual, and we're transmitting with the 19 set. Not sure if we're going to get anybody. Band's quite busy, but we'll give it a go. Just giving a CQ call. Not many people out there. Oh, I've got a German station. DL2HS. Many thanks for call. RST. Five, 7 and 9. QTH. Swansea. Quite a bit of QRM, unfortunately. Well, we've got somebody from Denmark. the organ, Denmark. Well folks, that gives you a bit of a demonstration of this 19 set. I think conditions aren't really great actually. We got to Sweden, got to Denmark, so we got to Germany, we got to Denmark, and yeah, it's not too bad really. But I think you know, with 5 watts, you know, you can usually get pretty far actually. I mean, the best I've got with a 19 set actually is, I've worked Russia before with the one that's under the desk, and I've worked into Kazakhstan, so it's doable. But it gives you an idea of you know, what you can do with some, you know, even some very old vintage equipment. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, and till we meet again.